New today, 5 adults arrested inside that filthy New Mexico compound where police found a boy's remains and 11 starving children. Those adults making their first court appearances today. Authorities raiding the compound last week in search of a missing child with severe medical problems. A couple whose land the compound sits on told local and state law enforcement months ago they believed they saw this missing child back in either January or February. And now the same couple is wondering why law enforcement waited until last Friday to carry out the raid.
They were dragging their feet. They were taking too long. Even if they were trying to build a case or whatnot, you know, a child's life is at stake.
There was no excuse.
I had no probable cause to get a search warrant to go onto this property. In hindsight, there was, but we would not have been there lawfully.
Scott McLean is there for us in Taos, New Mexico. And Scott, you received a copy of the search warrant. Tell me what you're learning about this compound and the motives there.
Hey, Brooke, a couple things that we're learning from these court documents now. The search warrant indicates that the sheriff's deputies got some information from the Family and Child Services, essentially here in New Mexico, who had spoken to some of these children, and two of them apparently, again, according to this search warrant document, had told them that this child, Abdul Ghani Wahaj, this missing then 3-year-old, would have been 4 now, the 4-year-old child had died, and that his uncle, Lucas Morton, not his father, had actually washed his body twice, as is the Islamic tradition, and then buried him either in a tunnel that we saw on this compound that probably stretched for about 40 yards, or in the toilet area. And so that's one thing that we're learning from the search warrant. But last week, Brooke, the sheriff here, the local sheriff, said that he believed that the folks on this compound, the adults at least, were extremists of the Islamic belief. But when he was pressed on that, he did not follow up. But now we are getting a sense of what he may have meant. In the charging documents against all 5 of these adults, when it talks about child abuse, it justifies that charge by saying, additionally, a foster parent of one of the 11 children stated the defendant had trained the child in the use of an assault rifle in preparation for future school shootings. And then it goes on to say that should the defendant be released from custody, he poses a great danger to the children found on the property, as well as a threat to the community as a whole, basically making the argument that these people should not be released. They're going to have a court date in just a couple of minutes from now, and we'll be there. And so we'll find out what happens at that point. But again, I cannot stress enough here, Brooke, that these people have not been charged with conspiracy to commit school shooting, with training young people, anything like that. This is just one singular point in a document, in a charging document, that we're going to have to try to figure out and get more information about. We also spoke to the father of one of the men who was charged, Lucas Morton, and he said, look, yes, they were devout Muslims. Yes, his son had a problem, holding jobs and things like that. And so he thought that the idea was to go out to New Mexico on this piece of land that they had and essentially start a new life, live off the grid, start a homestead and live a peaceful life. But he says, look, they didn't have the training, they didn't have the means, they didn't have anything to actually make that happen. And so he said that on Thursday, he actually got a text message from his son, someone who had been estranged for him for, the better part of a year, that said, Dad, we're running out of food, we're running out of money, we're starving, we need some help. And that's when he got on a plane and got out here, Brooke. So there is a lot of moving parts to this story, and you can already see the storyline starting to take shape here from the defense and from the prosecution as well.
Just the details keep getting worse and worse. Scott McLean, stay on it. Thank you so much in Taos.